Chair recognizes the lady from Shelby for an explanation of the bill and a motion thereon.
Mr. Bill, excuse me. Mr. Speaker, I ask the clerk to report the House Committee substitute to House Bill 302.
Mr. Clerk, please report.
House Committee Substitute 1 to House Bill 302.
Lady from Shelby.
Mr. Speaker, I move adoption.
Question for the body is on passage or adoption of House Committee Substitute 1. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries. House Committee Substitute 1 is adopted. Lady from Shelby.
Mr. Speaker, this bill addresses several crucial aspects of our election process. Over the past two legislative sessions, the gentleman from Spencer, the gentleman from Russell, and I have worked on bills to modernize our election process and to increase the voter turnout, as well as to increase the security of our election systems. This year, the lady from Campbell joined in our efforts. The first section of the bill directs the Office of the Attorney General to establish a uniform procedure and timeline when conducting independent election inquiries in counties. This provision aims to ensure accountability and internal controls to ensure each audit is performed in a process that is most efficient. Additionally, it directs the Office of Attorney General to issue regulations to designate the data and forms which will be requested so that there will be an orderly process across the state. The second change this bill makes is in regards to the plans county boards of elections make and submit to the State Board of Elections prior to the election season. This change simply added that the county boards of election must include how many parking spaces are available at proposed voting centers to ensure adequate parking. The third provision of House Bill 302 prevents election officers from campaigning at polling places while the polls are open, both on election day and on the days of in-person absentee voting. There are stipulations regarding election day. That's already in law, but we added the stipulations about no electioneering at polling places that on the days of early voting. Next, the current statute states that there can be no electioneering within 100 feet of the entrance to the polling location. This bill would change that to 100 feet from the property line of the polling locations. This change is designed to prevent instances of voter intimidation in the parking lots and in the driveways leading to the locations. As not all parking areas are owned by the same entities where the buildings are housing the polling places, this bill stipulates that the County Board of Elections may designate parking areas which would also be free from electioneering. The fifth change of the bill is in another area of unintended oversight from last year's bill. This change would prevent any person from electioneering where and while election officer training is being conducted, and that ensures that election officers receive unbiased training which does not have undue outside political influences. The sixth provision of the bill is in regard to the eligibility in general elections. Currently, a candidate who lost a primary election is not eligible to be a candidate for the same office in the general election. This new section prevents losing candidates coming back and running as write-in candidates. The current statute unintentionally failed to take into consideration cases in which the candidate who has won the primary withdraws from the race. This language corrects that so that the political party with the responsibility of nominating a replacement candidate may opt to select a person who lost the primary. The seventh change deals with replacement of candidates. This clarifies that if a candidate withdraws or is removed from the ballot after the primary, but before 10 days prior to the certification of candidates, the candidate may be replaced on the ballot. This removes any confusion as to when a candidate may be replaced. The eighth change is that the bill makes it a Class D felony if a convicted felon votes or attempts to vote knowing they have lost their voting rights. This closes a loophole in the law that was brought to our attention by the Office of Attorney General, who said that the Attorney General has no statutory vehicle to prosecute an individual who attempts to vote knowing they have lost that right. The ninth provision of the legislation is in regards to approved expenses by the Kentucky Registry of Election Finance. It simply adds that fees for legal services in matters before the legislative ethics. Mr. Speaker, I move passage of the bill.